Hey besties, we got a new package today. I'm not even sure what this is, so let's see. So this is 12 Tribes on Earth Herbal Hair Growth Spray. I forgot that I got this. I cannot wait to use this. I love sprays or anything that has simple ingredients. This only has rosemary, cloves, aloe vera liquid, and vitamin C. Herbal hair growth spray for the win. Yes.
Shalom, family. Good to see you all here. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, and by the way, we'll be doing a shampoo sale this coming week. So when the pomade sale expires, then the shampoo sale will begin. So, anyway, y'all, we're going to talk about Cuba. Now, we know for the past several months, Donald Trump had the Navy out there in the water blocking anyone, any nation trying to send aid to Cuba. And many have. I know the Russians tried, the Venezuelans, they were always giving them help, aid, money, and oil and gas, and also Mexico. And Donald Trump pretty much was starving those people for regime change. And, let's be real. The reason why he could starve those people is because he knew those people were not like him. All right. Had that been a white nation, he would not have done all this starvation stuff. So, anyway, the Cubans have been going through it. If you've been reading the stories out here, they have had no electricity, there's not much food, they have been suffering. There's a lot of homelessness is going up on the island, and people just don't have money and they don't have work. And they said folks are leaving the island by the thousands every single day looking for refuge because they're really struggling bad in Cuba. Well, now look like the Cubans are ready to talk, and Donald Trump is ready to swoop on in there and take over Cuba. So you can now put three heads of nations that Donald Trump has taken out. We know what happened to Venezuela. We know what happened to Iran, and now Cuba will be the third. So I think that was downright cruel to starve these people and block all kinds of aid to go to the country. But you got to be some kind of beast to do that and not even flinch. But that's what Donald Trump did. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Shalom to everybody in the chat so we can get started. Okay, there we go. All right, y'all. Please give me a one if you can see my screen. Give me a one if you can see my screen. Thank you.
The Cuban government is talking with us, and they're in a big deal of trouble, as you know. They have no money, they have no anything right now, but they're talking with us, and maybe we'll have a friendly takeover of Cuba. We could very well end up having a friendly takeover of Cuba. We've had a lot of years of dealing with Cuba. I've been hearing about Cuba since I'm a little boy, but they're in big trouble, and we could very well, something could, I think, very positive for the people that were expelled or worse from Cuba that live here. You know, we have people living here that want to go back to Cuba. Cuba is doing very badly and failing. Cuba right now is, to put it mildly, a failing nation. And, you know, they have no money, they have no oil, they have no food.
You know, Donald Trump and people like Donald Trump always talk like they're failing on their own. You know damn well the US put embargoes on Cuba. All right. You have denied them basic things, fuel. That's why they drive around in those 1950 style cars, because that's how long the embargoes have been on them. All you got to do is look at the cars. The cars tell you how long those embargoes have been going on over in Cuba. And the United States, they did this. And then, oh, well, they're starving and they're struggling and they don't have no money. Well, they didn't get there by themselves. It's just like when they blame us for our condition. We sure didn't get this way by ourselves. Well, damn, y'all are notorious for doing that. You sabotage a group of people and then sit back and talk bad about them like they did that to themselves. Boy, we get tired of this mess. Well, this system can't go under fast enough. Let's get back to it.
And it's really right now a nation in deep trouble, and they want our help.
Some breaking news out of Washington from the U.S. president. Donald Trump floated the idea of a, quote, friendly takeover of Cuba today. The island nation is suffering under a U.S. fuel blockade that began last month. The CBC's Katie Nicholson joins us live from Washington. So, Katie, what exactly did Trump say?
Yeah, so this is building on that speculation that after Venezuela, could Cuba be next? It's roughly like 2 months after the U.S. military swooped into Venezuela and captured President Maduro and the First Lady to stand trial in New York. So what we heard today from the U.S. president, he floated the idea of, quote, a friendly takeover of Cuba. Here's a little bit of what the U.S. president said.
The Cuban government is talking with us. They're in a big deal of trouble, as you know. They have no money, they have no anything right now, but they're talking with us, and maybe we'll have a friendly takeover of Cuba. It's doing very badly, failing. Cuba right now is, to put it mildly, a failing nation, and I've been hearing about Cuba. I said before, since I'm a little boy, I've been hearing about Cuba, and everybody wanted to change, and I can see that happening. Marco Rubio is dealing on it, and at a very high level. And, you know, they have no money, they have no oil, they have no food. And it's really right now a nation in deep trouble, and they want.
In New At 4, President Trump suggests he's considering taking over Cuba.
The Trump administration is currently investigating the deadly incident off the island's coast this week that killed 4 people. ABC's Christian Cordero has more from Washington.
As U.S. officials begin their own fact-finding into the deadly incident off the coast of Cuba, today President Trump floated the idea of a future Cuba under U.S. control.
We could very well end up having a friendly takeover of Cuba.
Tension has been escalating between the two countries since January, when American troops captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. That U.S. intervention led to an energy crisis in Cuba, which previously received most of its oil from Venezuela. And then this week, Cuban officials claim a Florida-registered boat with 10 men tried to enter the island nation through its northern border, alleging the group was armed with the intent of spreading terrorism. 4 were killed in an alleged shootout, including at least 1 American citizen, according to U.S. officials.
If our citizens were fired upon, boarded a Florida vessel, then those that are firing upon them could ultimately be charged with a crime.
U.S. officials also confirm at least 1 of the 6 injured is an American citizen. Cuban officials have not yet responded to the president's friendly takeover remarks.
Marco Rubio is dealing on it, and at a very high level. And, you know, they have no money, they have no oil, they have no food. And it's really right now a nation in deep trouble, and they want our help.
Cuban authorities say they recovered assault rifles, handguns, Molotov cocktails, and bulletproof vests from the boat. In doing a separate investigation, U.S. officials say the Cuban government's account cannot be trusted. Christiane Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
Apparently, Donald Trump is in discussions with the Cuban government about a friendly takeover of that country. The problem is it's wildly illegal and sets a terrible precedent that could be used for any nation which is bigger than its neighbor to choke off their energy supplies, use military force, and steal their entire nation. Let me explain how. We have enforced an energy blockade of Cuba over the past several weeks and months, meaning we've used our military and our Navy to keep oil tankers from coming to that island because they don't produce energy indigenously. In so doing, that's a use of military force. It was illegal because there was no threat against us, no need for self-defense, and there was no UN Security Council resolution or action. Number one. Number two, a treaty signed under those coercive circumstances is not voluntary. And this is the Vienna Convention on the Law of Treaties. So what we basically did is we suffocated a country using our military and are now effectively going to foreclose on it. There's a saying by Boris Yeltsin, and I hate to quote him because he's the one who put Vladimir Putin in power, but it's apt here. And he said, you can build a throne out of bayonets, but you can't sit on it for very long. And what he meant is you can't build a viable geopolitical strategy based upon force and illegality long term. That's what we're doing.
Trump has really taken the United States into a new age of imperialism, something that's been widely considered amongst all the world leaders morally reprehensible. And he's just doing it. And look what he said about Cuba moments ago.
The Cuban government is talking with us. They're in a big deal of trouble, as you know. They have no money, they have no anything right now, but they're talking with us. And maybe we'll have a friendly takeover of Cuba. We could very well end up having a friendly takeover of Cuba. And, you know, they have no money, they have no oil, they have no food. And it's really right now a nation in deep trouble, and they want our help.
A friendly takeover of Cuba? So Trump has now taken over Venezuela. He's going to take over Cuba. He's saying they're going to take it over in a friendly way. What the hell does that even mean? I mean, he's cut off the oil to the country, something they rely on. And now they are forced in a position where they have to be taken over by the United States just in some friendly way without a conflict. I mean, Trump has been literally starving the people in Cuba. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is how it all actually happens because they're going to be so desperate. But is this who we are now, America? Is this what we do? We cut off resources, food to people to make them bend the knee? Is that who we are now? Now, don't get me wrong. Cuba has needed a change for a long time. But is this the way to go about it? Is this how we should be doing it? Is this morally the direction the United States should be taking? Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, share, spread the word, follow, subscribe, and I'll see you back here for the 411.
Devastating news for Cuba and the Cuban people as Donald Trump just admitted to reporters today that the U.S. is intent on invading and taking over Cuba. Donald Trump described it to reporters as a, quote, friendly takeover of Cuba. He says that Cuba is struggling, that the United States will go in there and conduct a friendly takeover. Well, I'm not sure how friendly that's going to be. We already saw Donald Trump's version of a friendly takeover in Venezuela that left over 80 Venezuelans dead as we bombed their capital city, kidnapped their president. Whether you like Maduro or not, we kidnapped the president of another country and put him in jail, yet Donald Trump pardoned the former president of Honduras who was actually convicted for smuggling drugs into our country and other nations. So this is absolutely insane. What we're seeing in Cuba right now is absolutely inhumane because Donald Trump is suffocating their country. They are letting the people of Cuba go hungry, starve, and die. All so that Donald Trump can expand his imperialist conquest and do the bidding of the military-industrial complex of Narco Rubio, Pete Kegsbreath, Howard Nutlick, and the whole rest of these goons that want to extend America's influence of power using the military, despite claiming to be the No New Wars, America First administration. What a sham. What a sham and what a shame. This administration is a joke.
So today, Trump said the U.S. could see a friendly takeover of Cuba, and Washington lost their minds. The political class is wanting us to believe that it's reckless to say that and unstable and dangerous. But I think what actually scares them is that Trump talks about foreign policy like it's real power, not some scripted diplomatic performance. See, for decades, the presidents that we've had have issued statements and they've held summits and they've accomplished nothing. And Cuba, well, they stayed hostile. The regime stayed intact. Nothing happened. Nothing changed. And Trump, well, his signals are leverage. And suddenly, everyone panics. Because when Trump threatens to break the script, well, the people who benefit from that script get nervous. Is it blunt? Absolutely. Is it Trump? 100%. So pretending that weakness is sophisticated, well, that doesn't work and we know it. We've seen it. That's not Trump's style, and that's not why we elected him.
Donald Trump has just made a shocking statement about Cuba, and he used the exact words friendly takeover. In a recent remark, he said the United States might end up taking control of the island in a friendly way, pointing to Cuba's deep economic and energy crisis as the main reason. It's a very rare step for a US leader to talk so openly about controlling another country, even in a soft way. Cuban officials and political analysts immediately reacted, calling the comment a clear sign of intervention and a return to a colonial-style attitude toward Latin America. At the same time, some regional leaders warned that any US move in that direction could trigger a new wave of instability in the Caribbean and increase tensions across the Americas. Trump's message seems clear. If Havana continues to struggle internally, Washington is ready to step in, even if it's framed as peaceful or friendly. The question now is Trump just testing the waters with a provocative phrase, or is this the first sign of a real strategy to expand American influence over Cuba in the coming months? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think friendly takeover is just political talk or a real threat to Cuba's independence?
Friendly takeover, that is what Trump is saying about Cuba. And for weeks, he has been threatening countries with tariffs if they sell Cuba oil. It started decades ago. A 1960 State Department memo called the Mallory Memo literally said, let's deny Cuba money and supplies to bring about desperation. Blocking off fuel from 11 million people can be way deadlier than a strike. They're not hitting one target, they're hitting 11 million people. No country in the world can operate without fuel. Countries are sending in humanitarian aid, but how is that humanitarian aid going to make it to the people who need it? They have been trying to make this sound normal for generations. What he is saying to the Cuban people is, how about a friendly punch to the face?
So you're getting a real glimpse of people like Donald Trump don't care about no one other than themselves. They don't care. They will starve a nation. They'll do whatever they need to do to get what they want. So he wanted to take over Cuba. He did it by starving the people. And those people, and I showed you previous videos, a lot of them are living on the streets. At night, there is no electricity. These folks have been struggling like that for a long time, and it just got worse after he took out Maduro, who was really the biggest nation helping them. Once he got taken out, virtually nothing was going to Cuba, and then he was threatening any country that attempted to give aid to Cuba. So, and use the Navy to block any vessels that were headed to Cuba. So it's crazy. I guess they are ready to fold now. What else do they have? What else do they have? And you're right. During the government shutdown, weren't the people here in food lines because EBT got shut off? And many people in this nation is one EBT card away from starvation themselves. And they already revamped that. A lot of people that was on it before are not even eligible for EBT now. So it's a lot of people, they made people reapply for it. And a lot of folks that once had it, they don't have it no more. They don't have it. So Donald Trump, once he takes over Cuba, there'll probably be some aid going in there, but not as much that should be going in there. But we shall see. That country is in bad shape. It's like a lot of those Caribbean nations. It's in bad shape. You know, I know people talk about Haiti, but a lot of Cuba don't really look that much better than Haiti. To be honest with you, I've seen all kinds of videos and pictures and stuff that's been coming out of Cuba. And, you know, you may drag Haiti, but Cuba's right up there. It really looks awful there. You know, no wonder why those Cubans in Miami are kicking and screaming about going back there. They don't want to go back there, but they're still going to have to go. It's just like he took over Venezuela. The Venezuelans are still being deported out of here. Although Donald Trump took it over, he's still getting their butts the hell up on out of here. And the same thing's going to happen with the Cubans. They're going to be shipped right on out of here. He doesn't care if he took it over or not. That doesn't give you a free pass to be here. That's the way Donald Trump sees it, and your butt are still going to have to get out of here. Well, you know, they got to do this, y'all. Donald Trump has really messed things up with all those tariffs he came in office doing. It sent a lot of countries running to China for their goods. And like I said, US goods are not selling. Oh, when he started putting out all those tariffs, countries left and stopped buying US goods. So they got to do something to generate money. That's what all this takeover of countries and stuff. And he wants Greenland and he wants Canada and all this stuff because he'd have messed everything up. But they're not going to come out and tell you that. You know, they're not going to come out and tell you, but he really did. He messed up everything with them damn tariffs. A lot of nations left, and a lot of countries are refusing to buy anything from the US after they got slapped with those tariffs. So now it's like grab any land you can over here, you know, in this hemisphere, just grab up all the countries that you can. And at the end of the day, Donald Trump, it's not going to save this country. This country cannot be saved. It can't be saved. It doesn't matter what nation leader you take out. This place cannot be saved. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. I have my next live coming up at 1:45, and it's going to talk about these African braid shops all throughout this country are doing human trafficking. And we've been saying that, and they're not alone. Even the Asians, we know the Asian, these nail shops and these massage parlors, that's all that is too. You know, but it's coming out because the women that were trafficked here from Africa, there's some of them are speaking out. They're bringing these. You should be wary of any braid shop that got hundreds of braiders. They're open 24/7, and you see 3 women on one head. Those women aren't getting paid, y'all. They were trafficked over here to really be slaves up in these braid shops. So we're going to bring all of that out at 1:45. So I hope to see you all there. Thank you for coming. And I also want to thank Lisa Jackson for your super chat. Donald failed in history and as a president. Absolutely right. I definitely agree with that. So, y'all, I will see you at 1:45. Have a wonderful afternoon. Shalom, family.